The sun was just a red line behind the rocky cliffs when the human prisoner was thrown into the center of the tribal ring. He coughed as dust rose around him, shackles clinking, arms bruised from the long march across the wasteland. Dozens of glowing eyes watched from the shadows. Torches burned around the stone circle, casting flickering light on the massive figures that surrounded him. They were not just aliens, they were beasts. Each one stood taller than any human, their skin colored in deep shades of red and bronze. Most wore bone-crafted armor, carved symbols glowing faintly across their chests. The biggest among them stepped forward and roared something in a harsh tongue, and the crowd answered with stomps and growls. The human didn't understand their language, but he understood the look in their eyes. He wasn't a guest, he was the offering. From the back of the crowd, a figure emerged. She was different. A female, yet more fearsome than any warrior around her. Her horns curved high above her head, glowing with a fiery red light. Her armor was elegant, yet deadly. Her long black braids swung behind her as she walked toward him, her claws tapping against her thigh plates. The tribe went silent. She looked straight at the human, her expression unreadable. Then she spoke in rough, broken English. "He is mine now." He touched the fire. "He belongs to me." Gasps rippled through the warriors. The alpha male, twice her size, stepped forward with a deep growl. He pointed a massive claw at the human, and then at her. "No male of our kind steps aside for a weakling's word," the alpha said in their tongue, pounding his chest. The woman did not flinch. Her eyes burned brighter. "Then challenge me," she snarled back. The crowd screamed as the challenge was made. The ritual fire blazed higher. Spears slammed into the dirt in rhythm. The alpha dropped his shoulder guard and howled. The human tried to back away, but he was trapped. Two beast warriors shoved him to the ground beside the glowing circle where the duel would happen. He could only watch. She stepped into the ring calmly, muscles tense under her bronze skin. Her eyes met his for one brief moment, and he saw something strange, not just anger. A reason, a plan. The alpha charged. She dodged. The fight exploded in a blur of claws and fists. Roars shook the cavern walls. Sparks flew from every strike of bone against metal. For a moment, it looked like she would fall. But then she ducked low, spun behind him, and drove her blade through his leg. The alpha roared and stumbled. The crowd howled louder. Some screamed her name. Others demanded blood. She turned to them, blood dripping down her gauntlets, and raised her hand. "I claimed him. I spilled blood. You cannot take what is marked." The fire pulsed at her words. The circle glowed red-hot. The elder warrior at the back nodded once. The challenge was over. The human now belonged to her. She walked toward him, breathing hard. Her voice was low now, softer. "You owe me, outsider. They would have torn you apart." He stared at her, heart pounding. "Why save me?" he asked. She looked away toward the flames. "Because I saw your face in the vision fire. Because if you're here, then the war has already begun." The tribe did not cheer for long after the duel ended. Whispers moved through the warriors like smoke, curling behind their fanged grins and cold eyes. The beast woman did not care. She grabbed the human's arm and pulled him through the circle, past the flames, into the darker part of the cavern. He stumbled beside her, still dazed. Her grip was strong. His arm throbbed where she held him, but he didn't resist. He didn't know what was happening, only that he was still breathing. Behind them, the defeated alpha was dragged out by two younger males. Blood marked the stone floor. The fire dimmed. She didn't speak until they were alone, past a thick curtain of furs and bones. They entered a private chamber where a low red glow pulsed from the walls, like a heartbeat. "You will stay here now," she said without turning around. He looked around the space. It was warmer than outside. with soft fur bedding and strange carvings on the stone. He didn't sit. You said there's a war. What did you mean? She turned slowly, her horns almost touching the ceiling. Her chest still rose with deep breaths, fresh from the fight. The sky broke 2 nights ago. Something fell from the stars. Fire came. You came with it. His stomach twisted. You saw my pod crash? I saw the fire. I saw your face inside it before you landed. My people call it the vision fire. It warns us before death comes. He stepped back. Then why didn't you kill me like the others wanted? Her eyes narrowed. Because death comes for them too. You are not their enemy, but something follows you. I felt it. He sat down slowly, trying to understand. The firelight made shadows dance across her dark skin. I didn't mean to land here. My ship was shot down. I didn't bring war to your world. You brought it by being alive, she answered sharply. He stayed quiet. She walked toward him and knelt. Her hand touched the mark on his shoulder, the place where the fire symbols had appeared during the trial. You were marked by the vision fire. It means your life is tied to ours now. If you die, we fall. If you live, we fight beside you. He shook his head. I'm just a man. A soldier. Nothing more. She looked into his eyes, then become more. Or this tribe will eat itself alive before the real danger comes. From outside, drums began to beat. Low, heavy, one rhythm. Then another joined. Then more. She stood quickly. The Elder Council calls a blood speak. They will test me for breaking the challenge law. If they reject me, they will send hunters. For both of us. He stood too, panic rising. Then we run. We find cover until, no, she said. They will chase forever. Beast women don't run. We only conquer. Or burn. He stared at her, then nodded. Then tell me what to do. I'll fight too. She smiled for the first time. It was sharp and wild. Good. Then take off the chain. You wear it like prey. Now we make you look like something they fear. She moved to a stone chest and threw it open. Inside were armor pieces, shaped not for beasts but for someone his size. As he picked up the armor, he realized she had been preparing this moment. Long before she pulled him from the fire, she didn't just save him to protect him. She saved him because she believed he was the warning, or the weapon, and now the tribe would decide if they followed her or tried to kill them both before. The sky fire returned. The armor fit tighter than he expected. It was built from leather, bone, and a strange dark metal that felt both light and strong. She helped him fasten the straps, adjusting the chest plate so it didn't dig into his shoulders. Her hands were quick and practiced but gentle. You wear this now. You are no longer prey, she said as she stepped back. He glanced at the reflection in a polished black stone. He looked different, taller, stronger, but his eyes still held fear. The beast woman reached for her own chest piece and slid it on without flinching. She picked up her horned helmet and tucked it under one arm. We go to the fire circle. The council waits. He hesitated. Will they listen? She narrowed her glowing eyes. They will try not to, but I will speak with blood if I must. They walked together through the winding stone paths of the cave. Beast warriors moved aside as they passed, some growling low, others watching with cold interest. None dared stop her. The drums grew louder the closer they got to the fire circle. The central cavern was alive with flame. Elders stood in a half-circle, wearing masks of bone and painted ash. At their center stood the High Elder, taller than all, leaning on a staff marked with clawed symbols. The beast woman stepped forward and raised her voice. I come to speak blood law. A low murmur moved through the crowd. One of the masked elders growled. You broke challenge rule. You shield the outsider. You spill kin blood for him. She did not back down. He carries the mark. The fire chose him. I saw it. You all saw it. The High Elder's voice was deep and slow. "The fire burns many lies. How do we know this is truth?" Without warning, she reached out and pulled the human forward. She grabbed his arm and yanked back the armor to reveal the glowing mark on his skin. The fire symbols pulsed softly, flickering with the flame's rhythm. The crowd gasped. The elders stepped closer. One touched the mark, then recoiled like it burned. "It is real," the High Elder said at last. A silence fell over the cavern. The fire crackled and spit small sparks upward. Then the High Elder lifted his staff. "Then we test the bond, not with words, but with fire." The beast woman stepped between them. "No, he is not trained. He is not ready. It does not matter. The fire must know," the elder replied. They dragged a metal basin into the center and filled it with glowing coals. The air shimmered above it. One of the elders motioned to the human. "Place your hand into the flame. If it accepts you, your blood is tied to this tribe." The beast woman's hand caught his wrist. "You do not have to do this." He looked into her eyes. "I do. You fought for me. Now I fight too." He stepped forward and without pausing, pressed his palm into the hot coals. The flames roared. The mark on his arm flared. Pain surged through his arm, but he did not scream. He clenched his teeth and kept his hand in place. As the fire wrapped around him like a snake, then it stopped. The flames died instantly. The coals turned black. The mark on his arm remained, brighter than before. The High Elder bowed his head. The fire accepts the bond. He is tribe. The beast woman exhaled sharply and stepped beside him. For a moment, no one spoke. Then the drums began again, slower, deeper, a different rhythm. It was not a song of war. It was the call of unity, of preparation. She leaned close and whispered, "Now they believe. But belief will not stop what's coming." He nodded, eyes still on the coals. "Then let them prepare. We don't have much time." Asterisk. The next morning came with no sun, only the red sky above. The cliffs glowed faintly through the cracks of the stone ceiling. The drums had stopped. The fires had cooled. But inside the beast woman's private chamber, the tension had only grown. The human sat on the fur mat, tightening the new armor strap she had given him. It was stronger than before, made from hardened bone and infused with flamestone. It felt like a gift of trust. She stood at the edge of the room, sharpening her blade against a stone. Her movements were fast but focused. Her eyes kept shifting to the door, as if waiting for something. "Are they still watching us?" he asked. "Yes, but not for long," she replied. He paused. "Why do I feel like they still don't accept me?" She stopped sharpening. "Because you are not one of them. You are one of me. And that makes them afraid." He stood and walked closer. "What are you really?" She turned slowly. The firelight caught her glowing horns and the strange flicker in her chest. "I am not full beast. My blood is mixed. That's why I speak your tongue. That's why I see things before they happen. My mother was of the flame tribe. My father was something else. Something fallen from the stars." The human blinked. "You're part human?" "No, but not all starborn are human. My father's people fled long ago. They left behind blood that burns when danger comes. That blood burns now." A loud horn echoed through the cavern. 3 blasts. Then silence. She grabbed her blade and strapped it to her back. "They come. The ones I feared." He followed her as they moved quickly down the dark hall. Warriors were already gathering near the front of the cave. The High Elder stood before them, staff in hand. "They come from the North Ridge," he said. "Steel beasts, not of the tribes. They fly without wings and burn without fire." The human pushed forward. "That's not a tribe, that's a mech unit. They're tracking my signal. They'll wipe this place out if they find me." The elders growled. Some reached for weapons. The beast woman stepped forward. "You have no choice now. You follow." US or you fall, one elder growled. You led this outsider into our fire. Now the sky beasts come for him. He is marked. He is one of us, the High Elder said firmly. She turned to the human. Can you fight them? He nodded. If we get high ground and cover, yes, but not here. We need to lure them into the ash canyon. It will choke their sensors and force them out of their suits. She looked to the warriors. Prepare the hunters. We move by smoke trail. We strike from stone and vanish in ash. Just like the old ways, the warriors howled in answer. A line of them formed quickly. The tribe had chosen. They would fight beside the outsider. As they marched toward the canyon pass, the beast woman stayed beside him. Her expression never softened, but her eyes stayed on him longer than before. You carry fire now, not just in your arm, but in your mind. You speak like a leader. He gave her a sharp look. You made me one, she smirked. Then lead well, or we all burn together. The wind shifted as they neared the ash canyon. Black dust danced in the air. The ground cracked with each step. Above them, the sound of engines began to echo, and in the far sky, shadows dropped from a steel ship into the smoke below. The first enemy landed hard on the black stone ridge. His armor was full-body steel, glowing with red stripes and powered by servos. A plasma rifle locked into position on his shoulder. His helmet scanned the ground below, searching for heat signatures. He never saw the spear coming. It shot from the canyon mist, struck the weak point in his neck joint, and sent him crashing into the dust. More dropped behind him, forming a defensive line. The mechs moved fast, scanning for targets, but the ash in the air blinded their sensors. Their weapons glowed, but fired at empty rocks. The beast woman crouched beside the human, both hidden behind a broken ridge. She nodded toward a pile of jagged stones. Lead them there. I'll split their line. He checked his sidearm and signaled two warriors nearby. Flank left. Use their noise against them. We don't stop until they're cut from each other. He broke cover and sprinted across the ash. The mech saw him too late. One fired, but the plasma shot burst wide. He dove behind another ridge and fired back, striking the joint. The warriors moved like shadows. Spears, axes, and strange red blades flew through the air. One mech fell, then another. But more kept coming. The beast woman charged straight into the thickest group. Her horns glowed like fire. She leapt high, slamming into one enemy with her full weight, ripping off the chest plate and driving her blade deep. She roared, and the ground trembled. Warriors followed her scream. The tribe moved like a tide of fire and fury. The human fought beside them. He fired calmly, aiming only at weak points. Every movement had purpose. Every shot was followed by motion. No hesitation. A blast hit the rocks behind him. He fell hard. Dust filled his mouth. When he looked up, a mech aimed its weapon directly at him. Before it fired, the beast woman slammed into it from the side. Her body hit like a wrecking ball. The mech stumbled. She tore off its arm and drove her knee into its chest. The metal cracked. It collapsed. She turned to him, breathing hard. "You're slow," he coughed. "You're welcome." They both smiled, just for a second. Then more ships appeared in the sky. A second wave was coming. The High Elder's voice came through a COM stone. "Fall back to the spine cliffs. Regroup. They come too fast." The human looked to her. "Can we hold them?" "No, not here. But there's something they don't know." She pulled him close. "There's an old tunnel. It leads behind their landing point. If we strike from there, we can cut their command line." He nodded. "Let's move, but we'll need cover. Can you get us inside?" "I was born in the ash. I know how to vanish when hunted." They sprinted along the cliffside while the remaining warriors fell back. The mechs advanced slowly, thinking they had won, but beneath the cliff, through a narrow slit in the rock, The beast woman and the human slipped inside the hidden tunnel. The old walls were marked with fire runes and claw carvings. He looked around. How old is this place? Before my tribe. Before the first beast wars, these tunnels are sacred. But today, they are weapons. As they moved deeper, the air grew warmer. The walls pulsed faintly. The tunnel led up and around the canyon edge. Far ahead, they could see a soft glow. It was the enemy's base. The command tent stood near the cliff. 2 guards watched lazily, unaware of the hunters below them. She looked at him. Ready to make them scream? He raised his blade. Let's finish what they started. Asterisk. The human moved first. He climbed the ridge slowly, staying low in the shadow of the rocks. The 2 mech guards stood just above, relaxed, unaware of the tunnel below. The beast woman waited behind him, crouched with her blade ready. Her eyes glowed faintly, her chest markings pulsing in sync with her breath. He reached the top and signaled. She moved like a predator, fast, silent, deadly. She snapped the first mech's neck with a twist. The second turned too late and received the full weight of her blade into its core. They dropped without a sound. The command tent stood ahead, guarded only by 2 drones and a single officer in light armor. The rest of the forces had pushed into the canyon, following false trails. He raised his pistol. 3 targets. You take the officer. I'll drop the drones. She nodded. Strike now. Before the fire dims, they moved as one. The human fired 2 shots, one into each drone's optic core. Both sparked and dropped instantly. The officer spun around, shouting, but she was already upon him. Her hand crushed his weapon. Her claws pierced his side. He fell with a gurgled cry, silenced before any alarm could sound. The tent was filled with glowing consoles and satellite feeds. Maps of the canyon lit up one wall. Red dots moved across the screen, each one a mech squad closing in on the wrong position. The human stepped inside and began pulling wires. We can overload their nav systems, blind them, turn their armor against them. She stood guard while he worked, her ears twitching at each distant sound. How long? 10 seconds. Just keep them from finding us. A burst of light shot through the system. Sparks flew. Then the screens blinked and turned black. In the canyon below, chaos exploded. The mech suits began turning in circles, misfiring, falling over each other. Warriors roared in triumph as they charged. The tribe surged forward like a rising tide. The beast woman roared from the cliff, her voice cutting through the smoke. The warriors heard and followed. The human stood beside her, blood on his face, fire in his eyes. He watched as the enemy lines fell apart. The High Elder appeared through the smoke, leaning on his staff. You have brought fire to the enemy. You are more than a mark now. The beast woman stepped forward. He is of the tribe. He is the blade of the ash. And he fights beside me until the sky burns. The elder raised his staff high. Then, the war is ours to finish. As the sun finally rose, the red glow faded into golden light. The bodies of fallen enemies smoked in the dust. The warriors howled in victory. The human looked to her. What now? She stepped closer. Now they follow us. The tribe is no longer afraid. You gave them hope. And that hope is stronger than claws or fire. He looked out over the battlefield. I didn't do it alone, she smiled. No. But you made them scream. They stood side by side as the wind carried the ash behind them and the future ahead. 3 days passed since the last mech suit fell. The ash canyon was quiet now. Smoke no longer filled the air. The fires burned low, and the warriors began clearing the field of shattered metal and blood-soaked stone. The human stood at the edge of the high ridge, looking down at the valley where the final fight had taken place. The battlefield was now covered in beast warriors, some building, some healing, all watching him differently than before. He was no longer a prisoner, no longer just a stranger. He was fire-marked and battle-proven. He was one of them, the Beast Woman. Joined him silently. She stood tall, her horns glowing faintly, her chest markings healed, but still pulsing with quiet power. They still talk about your strike. About the way you led them in the final wave, she said. He didn't smile. We lost people, good ones. That should be remembered too, she nodded. It is, but so is survival. And survival here means strength. They saw strength in you. Not just in how you fought, but in how you stood beside them. He looked up at the sky. Your people still follow blood law. Will they keep following you now that the elders are silent? The elders see now, and they will stay silent. Until the next fire speaks, but the tribe listens to roar, not whispers. And they heard mine. They heard yours, below them. The tribe had begun carving symbols into the canyon walls. Marks of victory, of union, of a new bond between fire and outsider. The High Elder approached slowly, his staff tapping on the stone. He bowed his head to both of them. The fire no longer burns in fear. It burns in purpose. The Beast Woman looked at the human. There's more beyond the cliffs, more tribes, more danger. But they will hear what we did here, and they will know we are not prey. He breathed deeply. And if they don't believe it, then we make them believe it. He laughed once, short and sharp. You don't rest, do you? She stepped closer. Only when the fight is worth it. They walked back toward the camp together. Warriors moved aside to let them pass. Children ran ahead, mimicking their battle roars with play weapons. Drums beat softly in the background, not in warning, but in rhythm. In the heart of the camp, a fire had been rebuilt. This one was smaller, steadier. Around it sat the young and the old, telling stories of what had just happened. The Beast Woman placed her hand on his shoulder. Now you belong to the story. You will be remembered. He looked into the flames and nodded once. Then let it be a story worth remembering. As the stars rose above the cliffs, the tribe howled into the night, not in fear, not in grief, but in unity. And beside the fire, the human and the Beast Woman stood side by side, not as strangers, but as the leaders of a new beginning.